Hello, my friend and earthly neighbor. Happy New Year! Welcome to 2018, the year of the dog, and in my opinion, the year of integrity. This week, the universe wastes no time. We have a full moon in Cancer on New Year's Day night and 2 grand trines that'll force you to mature whether you're ready or not. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your weekly Namaste Today. Hello and welcome to Namaste Today, a spiritual way to kickstart the day. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Sensei Christopher Witecki. Welcome to 2018, my friend. Namaste. Well, looking at the year ahead, I call this year a year of integrity. And I gather that from the numerology of 2018. If you add 2018 together, it adds to an 11. Which in my step system is step 11, the step of integrity and the step of Virgo. So I argue this year the universe is pushing you to come into your integrity. And I also argue that any person, institution, or organization that's not in integrity will likely fall. This week, the universe wastes no time. We have a full moon on New Year's Day at step 11. We have a lunar eclipse at the end of the month at step 11. And we have 2 grand trines this week that will force you to rapidly mature. So in this week's show, I'm going to talk you through this first week of jumpstarting January and get deep on what this transition means for you. And later in our tea time, I've got some news. Uranus goes direct. I'm going to talk about what that means for you and each of the other 11 signs. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Monday, January 1st to Friday, January 5th, 2018. Looking at your 5-day moodcast, well, the week starts off very moody, but it slowly becomes sunnier as the week progresses. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's sunny but hypercritical. A full moon in Cancer calls your life into integrity and starts the year off with a boom. On Tuesday, it's sunny and learning. Step 12 rules the day, and a grand trine in water allows you to emotionally mature. On Wednesday, it's cloudy, overcast with a chance of moodiness. Step 13 rules the day, and Uranus goes direct. On Thursday, it's sunny and inspired. The moon in Leo brings hope, and step 14 brings clarity. And then on Friday, I predict sunny and luminous. Step 15 rules the day, and Mercury at step 22 calls for breakthrough. Well, in this upcoming week, I argue you are making your New Year's resolutions, but those resolutions are based on solutions. In this next segment, I'm going to walk you through the week and these big grand trines. Taking a sneak peek at the upcoming week, I coined this week, New Solution, Resolution. As we kickstart 2018, we turn our back on a very difficult 2017. I thought 2017 was probably one of the most challenging years I've ever experienced. It was a step 10 year ruled by manifestation. And the thing about step 10 is you kind of have to hold space. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of faith. And there's no real answers as far as our solutions are concerned. In my opinion, 2017 was really about unplugging from the karma you were born to and pointing your life to the story you wish to live or the story you were born to live. But I don't feel like we made any visible progress. It was all inner world, and of course our outer world, politically, geopolitically, even with our environment, is still in chaos. As we begin 2018, we are all looking for a solution. And I believe that's what this week is about. This week is about a New Year's resolution that's based on a solution. We're looking to fix the problems in our own personal spiritual life, and this week the universe wastes no time. As I mentioned, we kickstart the week with a powerful full moon in Cancer. Now the reason why this full moon is so powerful is for 2 reasons. One is it's at step 11. Step 11 is a step of integrity. It's the Virgo step. So if you know any Virgos, you know how hypercritical they are to specific details. When we're in the step 11 energy, we're very aware of anything that's not in alignment. Like 1111 is all about alignment, right? So we're very conscious of what's on alignment. We tend to be self-critical. And then when you add the fact that the sun is in Capricorn, the most judgmental and critical sign of the zodiac, you have a hypercritical full moon. The other interesting thing about this full moon is it technically happens after New Year's Eve celebration. So we all go out and we have all this hope for New Year's Eve, and then on New Year's Day we're kind of like, oh, my life sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like anything. And I want you to know that's completely okay. You might feel that way. In fact, the fact that the moon is full in Cancer indicates this is the most powerful and most emotional full moon of the entire year. So the first advice I have is be easy on yourself. Take note of what's out of alignment, what needs fixing, but don't judge yourself, don't condemn yourself, certainly don't punish yourself, because that just wastes spiritual time. We have progress to move on from. So this week, we kickstart with this kind of assessment, this spiritual assessment full moon. This will be on Monday. It's at step 11. It actually apexes in the evening in North America, so it kind of builds up. So I'm suspecting do something fun on New Year's Day, like watch the parades and chill out, because as the day progresses, I think we'll all become more and more critical of ourselves, and we want to be careful not to be so critical. But what you want to do is kind of assess what needs to change, what's out of alignment, and come up with a possible solution. And I think whatever this solution is the New Year's resolution. Make this solution your resolution. At least that's the way to kickstart or jumpstart January. So Monday is going to be a hypercritical day. And one of the things that's happening also this week is that Mars and Jupiter are conjoining through the week. Mars is our ego. Jupiter is our learning. And so when Mars and Jupiter come together, we tend to learn much, much faster. It also means our ego is impatient to learn. So normally where we might procrastinate something for months, we will feel like we have to get to the bottom of it now. That's part of, I think, the jumpstart of January is Mars and Jupiter working together. And because they're in Scorpio, they're working together as far as where lines need to be drawn. So I would expect people to be hypercritical on this full moon, kind of about where you need to stop doing this and start doing that, critical of, how much you eat, how much you exercise, all these typical kind of New Year's resolution topics, but we're going to probably be more intense and more critical than usual because our ego, Mars, and Jupiter, which is kind of like a gasoline on the fire, are coming together. The other interesting aspect through the whole week that kind of starts on Monday is Mercury, which is now direct in Sagittarius. We had a very troubling, I'd say difficult, foggy December, right? We had Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. This was having us kind of let go of our mental notions of what our story is and move toward the story we were born to live. But I don't think we really got to any clarity about what that story is. Well, this week, Mercury and Uranus come into alignment. They start to trine. And so that means this week, you're also doing a lot of assessment about what your story is, where do you belong in the world, what have you come to do, and also, who are you? Uranus and Aries is begging the question, who am I? What am I here to do anyways? How am I to behave? What actions am I to take? And not only are Mercury and Uranus trining this week, but Uranus goes direct this week, which means that we now move forward with this innovation. Once Uranus is direct on January 3rd, all the planets will be moving direct. So it kind of, in 2017, was like a hurry up and wait year. We were constantly waiting for something to happen, something to change. I would say by midweek, you're going to feel the wind just fill your sails, and you're going to feel pushed to move forward at a rapid pace. And you're going to be thinking about innovating yourself and making solutions as your resolution. So Monday's the day where it's kind of an assessment day. I think it's kind of fortunate that it's a national holiday, an international holiday, because everyone needs to sit down and think real hard about the year to come. And with this full moon, you won't just think about it, you'll feel it. You'll feel some of the issues. So be self-nurturing. On Tuesday, we cross a bridge. Step 12 rules the day. The moon is still in Cancer. And emotionally, what we're doing is projecting how we want to feel in the future. And so you'll likely have to cross some sort of emotional bridge on Tuesday. An emotional bridge is something you are afraid of facing. okay? A lot of people don't face certain issues because they're afraid of how it's going to feel. We think the hard thing is showing up or doing the task, but for most human beings, the hard thing is their fears, their feelings about the task, about showing up. So Tuesday you are fear fighting and you are emotionally maturing and growing up. In fact, we have a grand trine in water on Tuesday, which unites Jupiter and Mars, which is that ego, boundary learning perspective, Neptune in Pisces, which is trying to get you on your spiritual path, and the moon in Cancer. So spirit, boundary, and your emotional state all together come together to kind of mature. And I would imagine Tuesday there's a lot of emotional boundary drawing that needs to happen. The other thing about Tuesday is Black Lilith, which has been at step 5 Capricorn for seems like ages, bringing up fears in our head, now moves to step 6 on Tuesday, which means our fears move from mental notion to relationships, to balance, to harmony. So as of Tuesday, we might have fears that relationships will go wrong or will fall out of balance or things will be unfair or will be treated unfairly. And those fears will continue for over a week. Wednesday will be, I think, truly a hump day. I predict it to be cloudy and super moody. It's moody for a couple of reasons. One, the moon moves into the first decan of Leo. So this is kind of the part of our heart that's a child. So it's like a lot of poor me consciousness. We'll want to go to victim. We'll want to kind of be like a toddler wanting to be picked up. You know what I mean? So there's that kind of feeling. And step 13 is very unpredictable. It's a Uranus ruled degree. It means that you're going to figure out where you belong making decisions and where you don't belong making decisions. Now, I haven't talked about it so far, but this is the sun in Capricorn. Capricorn is how we control our life, how we make decisions, how we direct our life. So underneath the seams of all this emotional and maturing is this desire to feel in control of your life and to take charge and move forward with your life, to be able to plan it out in a New Year's sort of way. So Wednesday might be a day where you feel out of control. And that's because the universe is attempting to get you to shift your control from one area of life to another area of life. And whenever people have to let go of their control of one thing, there's like a period there where you are terrified that you won't be in control on your destination, wherever that is. So Wednesday is truly a hump day. Mercury goes to step 20 on Wednesday, so our thoughts start to get really passionate about the story we're born to live. And Uranus goes direct. I think it's ironic that Uranus goes direct on step 13 day, which is the Uranus ruled day. So it is on Wednesday that technically things move forward. And you may find on Wednesday that surprising news comes in. So maybe you were hoping to buy a bunch of Bitcoin and get rich, and then on Wednesday Bitcoin just drops all the way to the bottom, and you're like, okay, that's not going to be the answer. So there'll probably be a lot of fallout of certain things you were hoping for or just seeing if it would happen, and Wednesday you should get your answer as to whether or not that will happen or not. Thursday, though, things do pick up. Thursday, it's kind of like a black and white. Wednesday is really tough, but Thursday we're coming down the roller coaster. Things start to speed up. Thursday you'll be more clear and you'll be more inspired. The moon in Leo will grand trine to Mercury and Uranus, which is now direct. So this is the first time we're having a grand trine in fire with Uranus direct in Aries. And so I think on Thursday we're going to feel our whole life speeding up. We're going to get excited. We're going to probably see, with whatever fell apart on Wednesday, we're going to now see the open road of where we can go now on Thursday. And there's a lot of spiritual energy too. Mars and Jupiter are now 1 degree apart as of Thursday. Mars is at step 16, Jupiter's at step 17. So you're getting ready and building up to some sort of big boundary decision with Jupiter at step 17. And Thursday is starting to kind of come in and close. And then on Friday is going to be what I call sunny and luminous. I think Friday will be probably overly optimistic than reality should allow for. I think you're going to be super happy, and I think it's good. Let's be optimistic. Step 15 rules the day, so it's about finding our peace and finding our balance. Mercury goes to step 22, which means on Friday there's going to be some sort of major breakthrough, some sort of mental clarity, and this mental clarity will be around the story you were born to live. So I would say give yourself the whole week before you feel like you need to know. It'll be Friday, Saturday that you actually know. The other interesting thing is Neptune moves to step 12 on Friday. It's been at step 11 pushing for spiritual integrity. Step 12 is crossing the bridge. So I think on Friday you see your story actually moving forward. It's almost like you've been stuck in traffic the whole time in 2017. Well, Friday we start to see traffic beginning to move. We are like, oh my God, it's actually moving forward. And the other interesting thing about Friday is that Jupiter and Mars dead conjunct at step 17. That means your ego and your beliefs will come together for some sort of decision. And that decision likely is a commitment and a commitment to boundaries. So you will either be in or out of a situation. If you've been struggling with a relationship or a job or being a member of some sort of organization or club or something, and you haven't known if you should be in or out of the situation, Friday you will know if you are in or out. But there is another whole story going on that I didn't get into just now, and that has to do with the idea of Uranus going direct. So go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our weekly tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. This week's tea time topic is Uranus wraps up in Aries. Now, you may not even realize that Uranus has been in Aries, but Uranus has been in Aries since January of 2012. And in the next 5 months, Uranus will wrap up its transit in the sign of ego. That's what Aries is. Our Aries consciousness is our consciousness that gets things done. That's what the ego is really here to do. It's here to perform. The reason why your heart beats until the day you die, that's Aries energy. The reason why human beings get into conflicts and get into war, that's also Aries energy. The part of you that keeps you from being eaten by the lion because you run fast through the jungle, that's your Aries energy. But as you well know, human beings take Aries energy too far. We become egotistical for only ego's sake. And so we have wars that are unnecessary. We start wars that are unnecessary. We start conflicts that are unnecessary. And we boast about things that are not heart-based. Now, what's interesting is Uranus is the energy of innovation. In fact, I believe Uranus really is the control center of the law of attraction. The law of attraction is a fundamental law in human consciousness that things belong with another based on our heart. And that's what law of attraction is. If you love chocolate, you belong in a chocolate factory, all right? If you love plants, you belong in a jungle or you belong around plants. The problem with human history is we don't honor and respect the law of attraction. We don't honor and respect in our culture our heart-based intentions. We have let our ego to go way out of whack. So Uranus in Aries has been a force that says we must come into alignment with our ego, and the ego must be based not on survival, not on being number one, not on controlling others, but rather the ego must be based on the law of attraction. So most of Uranus in Aries has been a lot of tearing down, a lot of big egos and people going too far. I think Uranus in Aries has said this is not going to happen anymore. Ego for ego's sake cannot happen. I think that a lot of our sexual predator coming out in society in the last year was Jupiter in Scorpio, but also Uranus in Aries is saying, hey, male ego cannot go that far. It must have a check. And I don't think society has really come up with a better alternative than ego, but we are at least now attempting to put our ego into check. And I think it's very interesting that as Uranus is wrapping up its Aries transit, we elected President Donald Trump, who clearly has a very big ego, right? And his sun conjuncts Uranus, so his fate is that his heart must fall into the law of attraction also. So I think that it was destined that this big ego come up against the other two powers of government and have to be put in check. It took two powers of government to put that man in check, if you think about it. So that said, in the next 5 months, Uranus will wrap up this tour in Aries. And to me, this will probably be the most dramatic change. It's always at the very last lap that you see certain people come into the lead. If you ever watched a race, someone can be leading for most of the race, and then in that last lap, someone can take ahead and one person can fall behind. It's the most exciting part of the race. And because we're in Aries, I would say, yes, it's a bit of a race. It's a race to be the new, let's say, the new divine male energy. That's really what this is about, is allowing the new divine male to come forward. Now, you might be interested to know, the last time Uranus was in Aries was in January 1928. So I attribute 1928 and the 29 stock market crash to be Uranus in Aries. That was a huge ego-driven market with no concern for anything else. Uranus came into Aries, all those egos, the Great Gatsby, all of them fell, right? And we had to force to rebuild our strength. Interestingly enough, we have Uranus moving into Taurus in May. In fact, Uranus moves into Taurus on May 16th of this year. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was 1934. And it might interest you that, the Great Depression, our struggle to be strong and redefine what strength was, that was all Uranus and Aries, the Great Depression. In 1934, Uranus went into Taurus, and that was actually the same year that Hitler called himself the Führer and consolidated the power in Germany. In fact, as soon as Uranus went into Taurus, he consolidated the power. Then Uranus retrograded and went back into Taurus the next year, and it will do that also for us. And that following year, that's when he actually announced that he was going to rearm Germany as soon as Uranus went back into Taurus. So Uranus in Taurus will be us becoming very industrious now that we have our ego in check. Now that we know who we are and know who we're not, we become very industrious. So in this upcoming week, Uranus goes direct for its final lap, which means everyone is going to move forward. And at that point, every planet is direct, which means every part of your consciousness is now growing forward. And I would say Uranus is probably the most electric, most shocking energy. So we have, if you think 2017 was shocking or the end of last year, Uranus was retrograde. It wasn't even putting new pressure on. And so we're going to see new pressure. Now, this entire month, Uranus is at step 24 in Aries, which means your job is simply to accept reality. One of the things about Aries energy is we tend to want to run away. We're like, I want to run away. We want to deny. Our ego denies. Our ego defends. Our ego fights. So a lot of times we don't accept, no, this is reality. You are bankrupt. Or this is reality. You have been invaded. A lot of us can't. So I would say January is very much about accepting what your reality is, accepting what it is, accepting where you want it to go. And the interesting thing about it is Mercury is going to be trining Uranus all week, Mercury in Sagittarius, which means as we are thinking about what our actual reality is, what our actual state of being is, we're also thinking about what our story is, what our storyline wants to be. So this week, what happens is, as the days progress, you get more and more clear about your story, you get more and more clear about yourself, until on Saturday, Mercury and Uranus dead trine at step 24. So I'm expecting a bit of an epiphany and an awareness of where your story is going and who you really are and who you are not by Saturday. So for each of the 12 signs, I want to talk you through what Uranus in Aries has been and will be till May. I want to remind you what Mercury in Sag means, so where your story is based and who you are. And then I'll give you a little foreshadow of what Uranus in Taurus will mean for you starting on May 16th. And because this is a slow-moving planet, I would say your rising sign is just as important, if not more important, than your sun sign. Your sun sign will be where a lot of the actual activity and politics are happening, so a lot of the fire that you deal with. But then your rising sign will be what's changing in the long term in the background. And as always, let's begin with our Aries. Aries have had Uranus in their sign. So Aries have had their egos broken down. They have been put completely on their knees and had to surrender their ego. And unfortunately, that's the only way Aries has ever surrendered, is by losing. They don't really allow compromise. That's Libra, their opposite sign. So now that Uranus is direct, Aries are going to grow with new behavior and identifying their character. Mercury in Sag ties into this behavior their life purpose. So what brings them meaning and what brings them value. And this month they're aligning what is meaningful to them and who they are. Now when Uranus moves into Taurus, they will then begin in May to innovate their self-esteem and financial situation. So if you're in Aries and you're worried about finances, Sensei says, take care of yourself first, and then worry about the wallet in May, okay? You got to get your own self aligned. Tauruses, oh gosh, Tauruses. Uranus has been in Aries focused on our faith. I have hated Uranus in Aries, okay? Like, since 2012, I've been on my knees praying to God, please help me. So finally, I'm so glad to get this damn transit over with. We are going to step in and move forward with our faith and our spiritual mission. That's the other part of it. I think Tauruses were on financial missions, material missions, all sorts of different missions, not necessarily their spiritual mission. So you're moving forward with your spiritual mission. Mercury trining into this means you are going to transform yourself. There are things about changing yourself, changing your behavior, changing who you are to come into this spiritual mission. And when Uranus moves into Taurus, around your birthday, Taurus, in May, you will be now ready to innovate your character. So it makes kind of a lot of sense. Tauruses will have 100% blind faith, I'd say at that point. Like they just believe in themselves, and it's go time when Uranus goes into Taurus. Strangely enough, Adolf Hitler, 0-degree Taurus. That's a Taurus with no boundaries. So he literally started building the Luftwaffe when Uranus went into Taurus. He started building up the military. Too bad it wasn't for peace, right? Gemini. Gemini, Uranus and Aries means it's time for them to find their place in the world. Geminis have been kind of hanging out and talking, not too sure where they belong. I've seen Geminis try on professions and take them off. Now it's time to actually go for what you want in the world, Gemini. What you're tying this into are your strategic partnerships and romantic partnerships. So who you are in the world is tied to who you partner with, Gemini. Makes sense, you're the twins, right? And when Uranus goes into Taurus, Geminis will begin to face their fears, which is long overdue. And Geminis, I'm just going to tell you, the transit sucks, okay? So just reach out to me. You might want to get a reading, but you'll get through it. I'm still alive. You will be too. Cancers. Cancers are now finding their place in the world. Cancers are homebodies. They care about family. They care about legacy, you know, their overall family plot, but they don't always think about their career and what they're going to leave behind on the earth. So Uranus is saying, you got to figure out what you're leaving behind the earth. And children count, but other things count too. So Cancer's careers move forward. And what they tie this into is their daily lifestyle and work. Totally makes sense. So Cancers are going to move forward as of January 3rd with their daily life and their career ambition. And when Uranus moves into Taurus, Cancers will be ready to advertise. They'll be ready to go out, find that job, market themselves, market their companies, etc. Leos. Leos have been innovating their beliefs and life purpose. Now, I have a Leo rising, so I have felt this one too. Leos feel like they know everything. They do because they have Aries in the 9th house. So Leos have had to be humbled time and time again that they were wrong, they were wrong, they were wrong. Now that Uranus is direct, you've worked out all the wrongs, you're ready to get on to the right. And what you're trining that into is what your heart truly wants. So Leos are innovating their life purpose by integrating their heart's intentions into it, all right? And this starts to move. So Leos are ready to rock. And when Uranus goes into Taurus, that is their house of career. So Leos are going to just take off. You watch. Leos are going to take off like wildfire starting this summer. And they have a solar eclipse coming, other things too. Virgos. Virgos have been kind of stuck too. Uranus and Aries means they had to change their trust, their personal boundaries, and they were being asked to transform. Virgos don't like to change. They like to be who they are to the 100% times 2, right? So now Virgos are being called to innovate their boundaries, transform their life, face the things they don't want to face. What they're tying this into is emotional security. So they want to feel better, and so by feeling better and feeling secure, you must change things, Virgo. You must change where the boundaries are and get comfortable with some other type of temperature in life, all right? When Uranus goes into Taurus, Virgos will then start a new learning cycle, okay? Because now that they've changed, everything changes, and they'll be going down a learning path and discovering their life purpose. Libras. Libras are innovating their long-term partnerships. Libras have been, since the age of time, always in this certain kind of passive-aggressive relationship pattern with people, and they are coming into a new relationship paradigm. This ties into their thinking. So they're going to think different. They're going to think different about relationships, and so Libras are going to start partnering up like crazy with a new type of paradigm, a new type of relationship. And when Uranus goes into Taurus, Libras are going to have to innovate their trust and boundaries, their sexual boundaries, their personal boundaries, their most intimate boundaries. They aren't going to like that. Okay, like I don't think they're going to like that. But you'll see it's a necessity and you'll be okay. Scorpios. Scorpios are innovating their daily life. A lot of Scorpios have been stuck in this survival mentality, and they've been overly defensive and overly aggressive because they have worried about survival, worried about survival. Well, Uranus is saying, hey, it's about thrival, not survival. So they are now updating their daily quality of life, and this ties into their desire to make money. So Scorpios are going to be growing very fast by aligning quality of life with a paycheck or an ability to manifest. And when Uranus goes into Taurus, Scorpios are going to start to reinvent their relationship to themselves. Their whole relationship to themselves has been based on survival. So they're going to have to create new marriage vows with themselves based on thriving. Sagittariuses. Sagittariuses have been innovating their personal love story. Okay? Sagittarius they've always been very stuck on liking exotic people and this type of person and, you know, love them while you got them kind of attitude with Sagittarius, right? And they have been asked to change their philosophy of love and going for personal dreams. I think Sagittarius have often settled for what came across their lap and made the best out of it, which is what I love about them. But now the universe is saying, no, go straight for what your heart wants most. And this is tied with Mercury, to their new character that they've been working on for 3 years with Saturn and Sag. So Sagittariuses are now moving forward with their personal dreams and new love stories, and it's tying into their new character. So love and personality go together for the Sagittariuses. When Uranus goes into Taurus, Sagittarius will then begin to innovate their daily life. So they're going to find that they're on a new desert island or on a new continent or a new kind of world, and they have to adapt to that new world. Capricorns. Capricorns with Uranus and Aries have been forced to innovate their emotional security. Most Capricorns have only thought of security in one sense, being wealthy. So if I'm wealthy, I feel secure. And they have learned that even if you are wealthy, that does not mean you feel emotionally grounded or supported or have a good family. So now Capricorns are ready to have quality family, quality emotional nurturing, and a quality emotional base that's not based on a financial base. This ties into their faith in life and their spiritual mission. So Capricorns are shifting now to creating emotional quality and spiritual direction as what grounds them. When Uranus moves into Taurus, once they've completed this spiritual emotional foundation, it's all about love, Capricorn. So it will be about pursuing what you love, what your heart wants, and finding true love in relationships as well. Aquarius. Aquariuses have been forced to innovate the way they think with Uranus and Aries. Aquariuses are super cool to everyone in the world, but they are super stubborn about how they think. They think the way they think, and that's the way it is. And if you don't agree, they'll just leave. That's been their attitude. But they have been called to innovate the way they think, innovate their message, to be able to work with what's in front of them and create that Gemini connection. All right, so Aquariuses are stepping into new human connections based on intellect. This ties into who they're meant to be in the world. So I believe we can't have the age of Aquarius without Aquariuses. And this final trine is saying, all right, Aquarius, learn how to deal with the weirdness of people and get your astro out there and do something about it. So they're moving into their social calling and their intellectual attitude. When Uranus goes into Taurus, they're then going to shift to feeling more secure and grounding. So I think a lot of Aquariuses are going to settle down. Aquariuses are known as the perpetual bachelors, and I think that when Uranus goes into Taurus, oh, they're getting married and having kids. Pisces. Pisces with Uranus and Aries have been focused on self-esteem. Pisces are super easygoing, but they haven't been able to keep a job. They haven't been able to create value that sustains over time. And that's been difficult. It's because they're very stubborn about their values. It's good that they are stubborn about their values because they're a spiritually based sign, but they have not been playing well with others in the game of Monopoly. So they're going to find their value with Uranus direct between now and May. They're going to understand where their money niche is. They're going to understand why they're valuable on this planet Earth. That ties into their career legacy. So I think you're going to see a lot of Pisces popping up with businesses and all sorts of things here in the next 6 months. And when Uranus goes into Taurus, Pisces will come forward and begin their legacy as messengers. And that's a big part of what Pisces is about, is being that compassionate messenger to the world. So they begin their message in May. So as you can hear, we are jump-starting in January. We are jump-starting our progress. This first 6 months of 2018 is going to be aggressive, fast-moving, and full of tons of surprises, I think, because of Uranus and Aries. And I am so grateful to be by your side through the ride. Now, that said, speaking of gratitude, I want to give my gratitude to Advanced Magazine. I don't know if you're familiar with this magazine, but I found out literally on my Jupiter return of Soul Garden. I have been at this now for 12 years, if you don't know. I went on the air in 2006 of January doing 12 horoscopes under this name called Soul Garden at the time. And Jupiter was in Scorpio, and Jupiter literally returned to the exact same spot that it was when I started Soul Garden. And on the day it came to the exact same spot, I found out that Advanced Magazine named me the #1 astrology guru of 2017 on YouTube. Woohoo! I was so grateful. And I would like to ask that we're putting the link here on the bottom of the screen. Everyone who watches my show, please go to Advanced Magazine and go like that article just to show them that we are grateful and we are grateful for them. And I have to say, I'm very proud of the company I was up against in that particular survey. I agree exactly with their beliefs. I believe those people that are on and listed there with me, I believe are all great astrologers. I was a great company. So it's great. I think I'm grateful and I'm honored to be of soul service for my 12th year now on the internet. And then lastly, I'll just say, if you happen to miss it, I did an online seminar over the weekend called Countdown to 2018. It has been recorded, and this is a video that's about 2.5 hours long. It is basically going to be ever ready for the entire year of 2018. So if you would still like to watch it, it has been recorded. We are still selling tickets. Come on down to soulmart.me to get your ticket. All right, friend, that's all I have to kick off the year. I hope you have an okay time on this full moon. Don't be too hard on yourself and get ready to rock. It is the year of integrity and it's the year of the dog. Remember, I love you, and to live, love, be.